Good evening, viewers, and welcome back to WNBA Trending. I'm Ava, and tonight we have a story that mixes professional sports, star power, and a surprising twist of fandom. It involves San Francisco 49ers star tight end George Kittle, his wife Claire, and one of the biggest names in women's basketball right now, Indiana Fever rookie sensation Caitlin Clark. The headlines have been buzzing, and for good reason. Reports have surfaced that despite a warm and thoughtful gesture from Caitlin Clark toward the Kittles, both George and Claire were secretly hoping she and the Fever would lose. It's the kind of unexpected revelation that raises eyebrows, sparks debates, and adds another fascinating layer to the cultural crossover between the NFL and the WNBA. Let's break this down step by step. Caitlin Clark is no stranger to attention. Ever since her college days at Iowa, she has been a magnet for headlines, fan reactions, and record-breaking viewership numbers. Her deep three-pointers, her fiery competitiveness, and her ability to energize both teammates and crowds have made her one of the most recognizable athletes in the country. Since being drafted by the Indiana Fever, she's carried not only the weight of expectations, but also the challenge of lifting a franchise that has struggled in recent years. George Kittle, on the other hand, is a household name in the NFL. Known for his physicality, charisma, and leadership with the San Francisco 49ers, Kittle has carved out a reputation as one of the best tight ends in the game. Off the field, his relationship with his wife, Claire, has also been widely followed. The couple is known for their fun-loving personalities, their Midwestern roots, and their active presence in sports culture. What connects Caitlin Clark and the Kittles? Geography, for one. Clark and Kittle both have ties to Iowa. Clark, of course, became a legend at the University of Iowa, where she put the Hawkeyes women's basketball program on the map with her dazzling play. George Kittle, though he became a star in the NFL, also played his college ball at Iowa. This shared Hawkeye heritage is what initially made fans assume there was mutual respect and support between the two. And, to be fair, that assumption wasn't completely wrong. Caitlin Clark had previously gone out of her way to acknowledge George and Claire Kittle. Reports indicate that she extended a kind gesture toward them, possibly in the form of tickets, shout-outs, or simple recognition of their shared Iowa bond. For fans, it looked like one Hawkeye great lifting up another. It was the kind of gesture that reinforces the idea of once a Hawkeye, always a Hawkeye. But then came the twist. Despite the gesture, George and Claire Kittle were reportedly rooting against Caitlin Clark and her Indiana Fever team. Now, before anyone jumps to conclusions, the reasoning here is not rooted in malice or personal dislike. Instead, it comes down to allegiances. The Kittles happen to be passionate supporters of another WNBA team, and their loyalty runs deep. In fact, when their favorite team squared off against Caitlin Clark's Fever, the Kittles made it clear where their hopes lay. They wanted Clark to lose. This revelation highlights an interesting truth about sports fandom. Sometimes, loyalty to a team outweighs personal connections, even if those connections are rooted in shared college pride. For George and Claire, their excitement for the WNBA is genuine, but their hearts are tied to a specific franchise. That means when that franchise faces Caitlin Clark, their rooting interest naturally shifts away from her, no matter how thoughtful her gestures may be. What makes this story even more compelling is the way fans have reacted. On social media, reactions have ranged from shock to amusement. Some Clark supporters have expressed disappointment, arguing that the Kittles should be standing behind Caitlin as a fellow Hawkeye legend. Others, however, have defended George and Claire, pointing out that true fandom means sticking with your team through thick and thin, even when it means rooting against a beloved star. The debate has spilled over into broader conversations about what it means to be a fan in today's sports landscape. Should personal connections dictate loyalty? Or should team allegiance always come first? When athletes cross paths in this way, NFL stars interacting with WNBA rookies, it forces us to think about how we balance admiration for individual greatness with our loyalty to the teams we've supported for years. And let's not forget, Caitlin Clark herself is used to this kind of scrutiny. From her college days, she has had to navigate not only the pressure of being a generational talent, but also the constant comparisons, rivalries, and opinions that follow her everywhere she goes. If there's one thing we know about Clark, it's that she thrives on challenges. Being rooted against, even by people she's extended kindness to, may just add more fuel to her competitive fire. It's also worth considering that George and Claire Kittle's position may actually be a compliment in disguise. By rooting against Clark, they're treating her not just as a fellow Hawkeye, but as a formidable opponent. They see her as a threat to their favorite team, which means they recognize her talent and her impact on the court. After all, fans don't root against players who don't matter. They root against the ones who can make a difference in a game. Another layer to this story is how it underscores the growing crossover between the WNBA and other sports leagues. The fact that NFL stars are paying attention to WNBA games, publicly choosing sides, and generating headlines shows just how far the league has come. The WNBA's visibility has skyrocketed in recent years, and stories like this only add to its cultural relevance. When figures like George and Claire Kittle are part of the conversation, it draws even more fans into the orbit of women's basketball. As the Fever season continues, all eyes remain on Caitlin Clark. Whether she's facing off against rivals, dealing with heightened expectations, or navigating the complexities of public perception, she remains one of the most watched athletes in the country. And while the Kittles may not be rooting for her when she's on the court against their team, the broader sports world is certainly paying attention to every move she makes. In the end, this story is less about hurt feelings and more about the fascinating dynamics of fandom. Caitlin Clark extended a thoughtful gesture, and George and Claire Kittle responded not with personal animosity, but with loyalty to their team. It's a reminder that sports often put us in situations where admiration and allegiance collide. And when they do, the results can be both surprising and entertaining. So, what's next? Caitlin Clark will keep playing, the Indiana Fever will keep fighting to improve, and George and Claire Kittle will keep cheering for their team. The debates will rage on, social media will keep buzzing, and fans will keep choosing sides. And at the heart of it all, we'll be reminded of why we love sports in the first place: the passion, the rivalries, and the moments that spark conversation long after the games are over. That's all for tonight's deep dive into this unexpected intersection of NFL stardom and WNBA rising power. I'm Ava, and you're watching WNBA Trending. Stay tuned for more stories that bring you closer to the heart of women's basketball and the culture surrounding it.